Let's look at number 8. Number 8 is asking us to find coordinate graph. So in a coordinate graph, what do we have? Well, in 2D space, I'm going to assume this is 2D space here. But this would apply also to 3D space, but 3D space gets a little bit more complicated. And it's kind of beyond the scope of kind of mind learning as well. So I'm just going to assume that this here is going to be in R2, so in 2D. So let's look at the coordinate graph here. So I'm going to have some type of x and some type of y, right? So this here is our x value, y-axis, and this here is going to be the coordinate graph. So in a coordinate graph, well, what can I tell? What do I know about the coordinate graph? Well, in coordinate graph, as you can see, I have 4 quadrants, right? This here, we start from this upper right side, so we have quadrant 1. So I wrote, this is Q1, this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this here is quadrant 4. So what else? What are some other features of a coordinate graph? Well, this here, if this point here, the intersection between x and y is 0, 0. If I go further increase x here, this here would be 0 and positive x. If I go towards the left here, this is positive x and 0. And 0. If I go further to the left, this would be negative x and 0, and some type of y. Actually, no, let me not put y here. So this would be plus x. Actually, let me do sample points, because sample points are a little bit easier to notice. So, for example, I'm going to do 4 points here. So let me just do. So if I had a point in this quadrant here, in quadrant 1, what does this tell me? Well, in quadrant 1, I can say this here is a positive x value. So this here, a positive x value, and also a positive y value. So this here is the x. So I would have a positive x, a positive y. However, in this quadrant, if I look at this quadrant here, this point would have a negative x, right? Because this would be less than 0 here. This would be negative x, but still would be a positive y. In this quadrant, I would have this guy would be a negative x still, because again, it's past this to the left of x. And in terms of the y, this is also a negative y, right? Because it's below 0 in terms of the y. And then finally, this point here would have a positive x value because it's to the right, and the negative y value because it's below this point here. So again, we have 4 different points here, 4 different quadrants, and this is how we define a coordinate graph here using these guys here. X's can be positive or negative, and y's can also be positive or negative, and you can see which quadrants they lie on. And you can plot functions, and you can plot other data in a coordinate graph here. So again, this solution here is correct. As you can see, 4 quadrants, so 1, 2, 3, 4, y-axis and x-axis, and the origin here is 0, 0. I went a little bit more in depth, and I told you the signs, if it's plus or minus for each of those quadrants. So, but this solution is also correct as well.